This game right here is the epitome of everything that I do not like about gaming right now. Now I know what some of y'all might be saying if y'all know me. Well, you bought Persona 3 Reload, so isn't that a bit hypocritical? No, because I gotta admit I was wrong. I shouldn't have bought it for that price. But let me get into what I do not like about modern gaming right now. Before I do that, let me discuss what modern gaming looks like right in the first place. So modern gaming, as we are mostly familiar with right now, has a couple of good releases every year, but nearly every year of this generation has been a remake or remaster. Now, you might say, well, it allows the audience to experience these games for the first time. It's false, obviously, because to play something, you have to actually play it from the. You feel me? Like, it makes the most sense. Like, you can't remake. How you gonna say that if you haven't played the original, or say it's the definitive edition if you haven't listened to the original album? It doesn't make sense. Like, you don't have nothing to compare it to. You're just saying it because it either A, looks better, B, has things that you like, just that you've already from other games you already played. And I don't really know what else I was gonna say, but that's mainly what it comes down to, is those two things. Now, because I've already said it, but I'm gonna repeat it. I do not have an issue with remakes. Meaning, I'm not really mad that there is a remake. The main issue I'm having is the control of just, no, you have to play this version of the game, or you have to, be a criminal, right? That's what they say, because the only way you can get access to it is either A, be a criminal, which means pirating, because they're not producing any copies for modern consoles, which is what most people that are gamers play on. Or B, you have to get scalped by people who've had an old copy and are like, okay, well, since nobody else, none of the other companies, the original makers, want to have this out, I'm gonna charge the thing for $300. And so it's like, bruh, you can't expect normal people with things to do, other things they have to spend money on, to just put $300 so they can get an original copy, because you're not dropping the original copy. It makes no sense. You feel me? There's no logic in it. So nah, that's my main gripe with modern gaming right now, is that. But got some other things to discuss too. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, which I used to, but you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna get out of my rock more often. Nintendo, that's why we shouldn't have allowed prices to increase to $70. What were we thinking? Look, we gotta take accountability on this, because I know me, you most likely are mad as hell that Nintendo even thought to raise prices on their bummy Nintendo games. Them games should be happy they were even 60. But the worst part about Nintendo is the game's never on sale. So they're gonna raise the price. I ain't gonna lie, everything about Nintendo, it pissed me off, man. So I don't like them dudes either. And I know I have said, I don't even know, I forgot the exact stream where I said it, but I did say Nintendo Switch is the best console. And generally, that is a fact. They do have games that actually experiment, and just all around games that are good. But the quality of the console, I forgot to mention when I said it on stream a while back, quality is not good. Alright? That's very obvious. You feel me? But since it is so good, like, it even has really good local multiplayer like Smash, that's the main reason I know it. Because when I was in high school, I remember I would be on there last week or two of school, just playing Smash every day. The whole day, just playing Smash or watching people play Smash the entire day. Or like Mario Kart, just a bunch of games like that. And I'm like, okay, hold on, this console gas. Because I got people over, I could do this and that. This ain't a Nintendo video, so let me get back on top. About the prices. No game is worth $70. Look, you can argue with me and talk about inflation this, inflation that. Until a loaf of bread costs $10, ain't no way in hell normal games that should cost $60, the quality hasn't gone up like that. Like, it barely went up, to be honest. The main thing is the graphics. Like, you could bump up Persona 5 Royal $20 and get better quality than Metaphor. And I love Metaphor. Like, I was streaming it last night, man. Had twitch.tv/KingStitch to see me live, you feel me? But no. It's not better quality than Persona 5 Royal. I would go on record and say that's the best game that ever dropped on the PS4. I'll go on record and say that, yeah, I agree with that, bruh. So some of you might have caught that and be like, hold on. But Persona 5 Royal would be like a remastered or an expansion type of deal, right? And that's why I started it off describing the modern gaming landscape of remakes and remasters. And I said it's not bad. It just has to be good priced. $20. That's a good price. I don't care if you remake a game and then it's $20, $30, maybe $40, but I think for $40 it has to be something like the Raito, because Raito we never had it. It's a remastered. $40, I think that's the perfect price. Anything higher, I would have to say no. But remakes and remasters should not be no 70. Hell no. No game should be 70. Remember that. No game is worth $70. None. Nada. Doesn't exist. The only way is if it was like before 2K of all games decided to come out with $70 2K. Before that, the only time was Digital Deluxe. The game is $60, you get extra stuff for $10 extra dollars. Okay, that makes sense. You feel me? And that's your money. But the base game, to get access to the game, $60, new game, makes sense. All right. And now we need to talk about this is probably the biggest point I had to make on this video. We need to stop buying digital games. Now, I was never the biggest fan of digital games. I only did it a couple times before because I thought they weren't available on disc, which is pretty scummy if they weren't. The games I'm talking about is Danganronpa. After I bought it, I think I was just doing research to see like maybe there's a disc version. There was a disc version, so I didn't know that because I never seen it. So I'm like, oh well. And this is me like what 4 or 5 years ago, I think. I'm not sure, but it was a while back. So I just ended up buying it digitally. Put the card in, you know what I'm saying? Put the code, yeah, put the code, bruh. But there's a huge issue with it, which I haven't said that yet. Sony could take your games, bruh. And I'm not sure what happens when the servers cut off, because I'm gonna show you that this is not no suckers gonna come in, rage bait, grift, and all this. Man, I hate them loser dudes, bruh. Alright, nobody's grifting over here. I already said, so I'm gonna say it again, that I don't have no real beef with the remake or remaster, as long as the price is fair and you actually bring the original source material. Which, let's say Persona 3 Reload, I would say it's best we get Persona 3 and Fest, because why not? You get to play the original and you get to see the upgrades they made in Fest. It makes sense. And as a matter of fact, I would say you could charge both $20 each. That's $40. Now some people might be like, whoa, 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 that's way too high. That's way too high, man. You tripping. See, I gotta disagree. We need to have these companies to have incentive to actually bring over older games. If we just say 10 to 15, they're not gonna feel like they're getting anything out of it. So $20, I think that's fair, especially compared to if you've ever seen PS prices for old games, which is how I know they work, by the way. You know, some people might say, oh, well, it doesn't work because the PS5 hardware is just so advanced or this and that. No. PS, the most expensive thing you could buy on PS Plus, besides like microtransactions, is that like 100 or it might be $200. I'm not even sure how much it is. Like one, let me explain it better. So there's like 3 tiers of PS Plus. There's PS Plus Essential, which they raised up to $80. Don't buy that either, by the way. I don't even think I had to discuss that. Don't buy that. There's no reason you should be being held hostage from your own internet. Like, these suckers don't give you access to the internet. You pay for the internet like everybody else. So don't buy from Sony. I've never done it. That's one thing like that was unshakable about me. Like, there's no matter what you did, there's no way in hell I buy PS Plus so I can get access to the internet. Like, nah, bro. That's why I don't buy like COD or nothing like that, because the main value out of COD is playing it with your friends or just sweating it out with other people. So no, because they gatekept that with PS Plus. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna entertain it. But the first thing is Essential, which is $80. I'm not sure about the other two prices, but the second one is Extra, which gives you like access to more games, which that tier does suck. They're making it worse. I think by 2026 they're taking out all the PS4 games. Don't quote me on it, but I remember seeing an article on that. I'm not sure if that's 100% true or not, but yeah. And the reason why you don't have to quote me or worry about that is because you shouldn't be buying it anyway. Alright, don't buy it. And the last tier is Premium. Yes. I don't have a script. I'm going off my memory right now. So Premium is probably like about $200 or close to $200. And on that tier, you get access to old games like God of War 1, God of War 2. I think the other God of War, I think released on the PSP too. Just a bunch of PS2 games. Jak and Daxter. I don't know if they have the original Crash Bandicoot, but they have a bunch of PS2 games on there that you can only pay if you subscribe to PS Plus and pay $200 a year or something around there. No, that's why I'm telling you to go back to my point. I don't know how I'm gonna edit that, but to go back to my point, $20 for a PS2 game is not bad at all. We can also wait for a sale. So wait for a sale if it's too high for you. Probably be about $15 to $10, and then that should be a good enough price where we can all agree. Okay, that makes sense. So yes, alright, bring over. You know what I'm saying? Bring over the games. But to go back to my other point, god damn, I'm tripping. But to go back to my other point, physical games are ownership. Digital is only a license. I remember when the servers went down last year. I forgot what date it was, but I remember that when those servers dropped, some people didn't have access to their games, and I believe it was because, first of all, their games were digital. Second of all, they didn't toggle that setting where it was like have offline access to your games or something like that. So if you didn't have that toggle before the servers crashed, you didn't have access to your digital games. Remember, again, let me remind you, some people are so bought into this digital only thing that they bought a digital PS5, meaning that they could not, even if they had disc, they could not play it unless they bought the disc slot or whatever the hell it's called, where it'll give you access to put the disc into the PS5 and actually use the console. Because I don't understand why you would buy that anyway. Yes, it's cheaper, but at that point you might as well buy a PC. That's basically what a PC is at that point. If you can't even put a disc in, like, come on, bruh. It doesn't make any sense. Which I got a little ahead of myself there mentioning PC. I'm gonna mention that. I'm gonna mention that a little later. But yes. So if you don't want to get your game shut off, if you want to actually own it, because I know some people heard that, I'm explaining it to you right now. Sony, Steam, Xbox, Nintendo can just take your games off of the thing, off of the internet or the servers or whatever, and now you could be screwed. That's why you don't want to go digital only on everything. Because I like digital, like I like tech, I like it, I'm very interested in it, but when it comes to like putting money or storing on there, if it's not something you own directly, like where nobody can just take it away from you, that can make more sense to me. But when it comes to like games, hell no. Because games will always, game companies, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they will always try to get as much as they can out of you. Always will. Without fail, bruh. So you gotta make sure, man, hell no. Like, we already paying you. At least give me some form of ownership. So that's all I'm saying with that. Okay. So I already basically discussed this point, but I'll re-explain it again in a different way. So I do actually believe that ports are better than remakes / remasters. Now, some people might disagree. They'll play an older game and be like, well, the controls here and there, they're not very good. I don't like it. And only the reply I have to that is, are you really a gamer, bruh? Or are you just a person that play games from time to time? Because I've never heard a gamer be like, man, the controls on here, oh my god, I can't play the game. It's unplayable. Like, if it's like too glitchy or a section is too hard, I could see that comment being made, even though most gamers would just turn the game off and play it tomorrow or whenever they're free. But to just say that because you couldn't adapt to the controls of a game that was made from an older era means the game is bad, you're not a gamer. Gaming is about adapting. That's the entire point of gaming. The entire point. There's a reason why. Excuse me, what the hell was that? Let me try that again. There's a reason why comfort games are a category. Because it's comfortable. Most games are not supposed to be comfortable. They're supposed to make you uncomfortable so it can actually impact you. If you realize anything comfortable to you is not gonna really improve you or impact you to want to actually get out of there. What you might say for game. Damn, buddy. Hold on. Alright. Hold on. What the hell? Damn, phone just went off. Alright. So let me try that again. Damn, I forgot my point. Just to repeat it again. We need to only buy remakes when they are $30 or $40. Because remakes are just, well, remakes, which means they're not original. So they should not be as rewarded as a new game, new IP, an entirely new creation that actually takes risk. Because remakes, remasters bank off of nostalgia. There's nothing new about most remakes, remasters. 90% of them are taken from the source material, which is what really should be getting that $60 price tag if we really had to throw it on something. Like, for real, but most of the time it won't because it's old. Like, it's very old. 15, it could be 10 to 15 years old, or Last of Us, which gets a freaking remake, remaster every 2 to 3 years. I think they just did it again. I'm not sure, but yeah, don't reward Last of Us. Don't reward Persona 5 or Persona whatever. Don't reward SMT either, even though it is 70. Like I said, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Because it is 70, we should not be rewarding that. All right. Saying old is better is not nostalgia blinded. This connection should be very easy to make because remakes, remasters are they get most of their value because they are old, which means the entire point of buying them is nostalgia. So to say anything about nostalgia with a remake just makes you sound stupid. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It doesn't make any sense. Demon Souls, if you say nostalgia this, it doesn't make sense. It's based on nostalgia. You shouldn't be saying that. It doesn't make any type of sense. I know I said that probably 3 to 4 times past 30 seconds. But you hear this argument so much when you try to get actual criticism about something. Like, it won't be pure hatred. The reviewer will have like 2 points, like this part of the game isn't good, or the soundtrack could have been better, or whatever. And oh my God, hey, you're just nostalgia blinded. Oh, you're just so deep in the nostalgia, bro. Why are you just in the nostalgia? Come on, man. We're all in the nostalgia. All right, shut that up. Oh yeah, let me use a good example. Old 2Ks. Now, if you know about them old 2Ks, that's when 2K was doing it. We can go from 2K11 to probably 16. 2K was cooking greatly. Some would say 19. I didn't play 19. I think I played 14, or I didn't play a lot of old 2Ks. I ain't gonna lie. I think because I was still on the Xbox 360. They were still hitting. It just sucked because that was 2K was the only game I had. So at that time when I was younger, I did not want to just play 2K all day. Now I could, because of how bad 2K is now. I could definitely just sit on there for like a good minute and just play them old 2K. 2K falling off, man. 2K falling. Not even falling off. It's falling. Don't buy 2K either. You're welcome. I discussed this earlier, but it's good I'll bring it back just to explain a little bit more. Consoles have almost no value now. Everything is multi-platform. This is a fact. And I did remember a video I was watching. I forgot the dude's name, I ain't gonna lie. But he said, because he was running the PlayStation fanboys who were upset. About, like, I think more exclusives going to Xbox. You really... Okay. I wouldn't say I was mad, but I was a bit irritated because this generation of Sony right now has to be the worst by far. I don't think you could tell me just an era of PlayStation where it was this bad, bro. Where, I mean, they had a $300 million game, Concord, just bombed. 300 million is gone. 8 years of work, or 6 to 8 years of work is gone. Just like that. It only took like a week or two. Didn't even get like 3 to 4 months. So because of that, now it's like they're trying to say, well, because you didn't put your money into this trash game, now we're gonna make everything multi-platform. And that wouldn't be an issue at all. I don't have no issue with Xbox having access to PlayStation games. Alright, that's not really an issue. But it's just PlayStation has been so weak with the games too in this era that I can't really, like, that's the main pull. Oh, okay, we have some good games. Xbox has no games. So I'm gonna go with the one that has some games that are good, not really any that's great. At least that's an exclusive. So we just pump in the PS5. You know what I'm saying? And I had a bunch of PS4 games, so that'll carry me through. Yeah. The PS4 is still carrying the PS5. That's a fact. Nobody can argue with anybody about that. It's just there. Because imagine if Sony came out when the PS5 first came out and said, well, the PS5 will not be compatible with the PS4. That joint would have bombed. More people would have bought Xbox. Which, by the way, if there's any Xbox fanboys watching, Xbox still sucks. Yeah, you need internet connection to work with an Xbox? Hell no. Hell no. Just to start up the console? That's when I knew Xbox was done. Bro, you can't make that an option. So that's dead. That's been dead since like 2014 or whenever the Xbox One dropped. That's been dead. Sony got to step it up though, cause they about to be done too. All right. It's a couple days later. So I've been editing the video, so now I had some more points to discuss. Every old game used to be accessible on modern platforms, which is the main reason why I think most remakes are not worth it. I discussed this already, I believe. I'll give a little bit more insight. So, let me give an example, which will help us understand what I'm saying more. So, Atlus dropped Persona 3 Remake. Alright, it's a good game. It's an okay remake, I guess. There is some things which I forgot man's channel. I'll edit it in. Who made a good video about it, which basically says like all the points I really have about it. But besides that, there was something a little bit scummy they did. They released before Persona 3 Remake dropped. They released Persona 3 Portable. Now, if you just look at it face value, you'll be like, nothing wrong with that. You get Persona 3 Portable, then you get Remake after. But if you think about it, why did they release Portable instead of FES, which everybody in the community basically recognizes as the ultimate version, the best version of Persona 3 that you could play before the remake dropped? Because they didn't want the sales of Persona 3 Remake to get compromised in some way, because they probably were like, oh, well, if we drop this, FES, and also remember with FES, it had The Answer, which Atlus then re-released on Persona 3 Reload to get more money out of people. So if they release FES, then it's like, oh, well, what reason would they have to buy The Answer? And that's why I'm really against remakes at full price. Just because of that. You see how many scummy things they did? They didn't release the version people would want more of. Like that what people want. And then they also released content that was already on FES. It was on the disc. They released it later as DLC, which means you can't even, at least to my knowledge, you can't get it in stores. Like, you have to use the internet to get it. So that right there is a really good example, which is why I used that thumbnail that I put of episode Aegis, because that's exactly why I'm not. I think as gamers, we can't encourage that, because there was no real creativity out of doing what they did. It was all out of greed. And there was another thing which I didn't mention, which I'll mention now. Persona 3 was also known as the only game in Persona where you couldn't control the party members. Now, a lot of people complain about the AI, whatever. I never played it, so I can't speak on it. But that's still something you need to commit to, because that's a main part of Persona 3. But nobody would know that because it's not on modern platforms. And That's all I gotta say about that. Because Alice know what they did there, and it definitely lost me a bit of respect for them. Besides them also doing day one DLC, I don't know why, bro. I don't know why. I don't know why Alice is just that greedy. It really just turns you off from the company entirely. Because there's no reason for it. You charging 70, day one DLC, and I might be wrong about this, but I swear when it dropped, it was just a remake of Persona 3. But then later, they decided. It's like they knew that they were gonna drop Episode Aigis at a later date. And then they ended up dropping Episode Aigis later, so then it makes them look even worse. So yeah, that's why we need every old game possible to be accessible on all platforms that it can work on. Now for my final point, we need to confront the casuals, because this only can happen, this entire issue we're having about modern gaming with the remakes, the DLC, the prices, that can only happen because you're not a real gamer. And that's what casual gamers are. Now me, I'm a gamer who is casual. Casual gaming is just newest thing. I don't care about the price, don't really care if you own it or not. It's just consumer. That's what a casual gamer is, a consumer. Now if you're a gamer, you're not a consumer, you're a customer. Alright, you need to know that. So when somebody, because a lot of people in comments say consumer this, consumer that, nah. Sucker, you're a consumer. I'm a customer. And what they say about customer? Customer's always right. Sucker, you drop a good game, you will drop a good game price, which is $60. Anything above $60 for just access for the game, just the game, you're gonna have to charge not charge way more. You're gonna have to have some of the craziest gaming things we've ever seen to justify $70. I'm telling you, it has to be all time. You gotta be number one in so many things to really be 70. And so that's why I really want to make the video, just to, you know what I'm saying, hold myself to the fire, because I shouldn't have never indulged in $7 games. But like I said earlier in the video, Nintendo really opened my eyes to that. So I gotta thank them for that, besides them showing their scummy colors, scumbag. Man, if there's anything I can prove about the video, about the channel, I'm really trying to, you know what I'm saying, stand on something, because as y'all been seeing, this AI joint is going crazy. But the thing you gotta understand about AI is AI don't got no principles. It's all efficiency. So if you do this YouTube thing and you all efficient, you don't have a take, you don't really have anything to impact people with, you're gonna be replaced very easily. That's any entertainment, anything. That stand on, some people gonna disagree with me on, that's what makes you human. You feel me? So y'all, God bless y'all. Support, like, and sub, man. Check out my twitch.tv/KingStats. That's where I've been for the past couple of days. You know what I'm saying? You can see what I've been doing, playing Metaphor. I'm gonna try something out, so I might not even be on there for a little bit, because I want to get these videos out more, so I have an idea to get the videos out quicker. So man, if y'all enjoy, help me out. Alright, peace. God bless y'all.